All right, well, good evening, everyone. For those that don't know me, I'm Colonel Mike McGinnis, the 2nd Bomb Wing Commander. I'm joined here by the 2nd Mission Support Group Commander, Colonel Kevin James, and Mr. Mike Reardon, who's our Deputy Director of 2-4 Support Squadron. And tonight we're going to talk about a subject that many of us have many great memories and continue to get great experiences from, and that is the upcoming transformation of the Bomber Bayou Golf Course to a multi-purpose military morale, welfare, and recreation facility. I understand that this does impact every member of our Barksdale family, from our active duty members to our retirees to our airmen. So just a couple opening remarks here, and then we'll turn it over to questions. So what is happening is we are transitioning the current footprint of the Bomber Bayou Golf Course into a diverse recreation area. What this means is we'll be catering to a broad range of activities, ensuring that we meet the evolving needs of our airmen, our families, and their retirees. This new facility will maintain some of the existing golf amenities, things that see a lot of use, such as the driving range and the current snack bar. But it will also introduce new exciting features like disc golf, walking, biking trails, and even potentially a top tracer program. We're planning to sunset the golf course on 1 February. And, a couple questions on where is this happening? It's happening at the front of Barksdale, through the Barksdale gate, the current footprint of the course. And really the big question that I think everyone's here for is why are we doing this? Quite frankly, this stems from, it's a difficult decision, and it really stems from the need to address financial stability, and as well as embrace the changing recreational preferences of our airmen, families, and retirees. In short, to make sure that we are putting in place a financially sustainable option for recreation that can support our community, not just today, but in the years to follow. Our goal is to enhance the quality of life for all members on base and provide this variety of recreational opportunities that are inclusive, sustainable, and engaging. I understand, and we understand the emotions surrounding this, and we appreciate the history and memories associated with the golf course. Our commitment to you is to proceed with empathy, transparency, and a focus on the well-being of the entire community. Today, we look forward to hearing your thoughts, addressing your concerns, and hopefully being as transparent as possible as we work our way through this transition. We scheduled this for a virtual town hall for a couple reasons, but I know the passion and the interest in the golf course spans far and wide, and we wanted to have as many opportunities for people, not just local, but at different locations now to reach out. And with the weather we've had recently, it ended up being just kind of a fortunate event as well, so we can enable max participation. So how we're going to run this is the questions will come in. I have a PA rep over here who will ask the question, and then one of the three of us will do our best to answer as honestly and transparently as possible.
Okay, the first question we received from Ron James. His question is, any thoughts on adding a pickleball court?
Yeah, and I'll turn it over to Kevin here in a second. We do actually have a pickleball court on base, and it's actually pretty close to my house, and I can attest that it's in constant usage. So when we talk about the changing recreational preferences of our airmen, I think pickleball is a great example of something that not only the active duty airmen, but the families, the retirees, and the community on base have embraced. Kevin, do you want to talk to any future plans and kind of how we're thinking through that?
Yes, sir. Yeah, absolutely. As the boss mentioned, we obviously have seen the trend. If you've caught pickleball fever, it's definitely growing in popularity across the country. And so about 6 months ago or so, out of the FSS team, we added some pickleball lines on our existing tennis courts here on the main base. And as the boss said, we've seen a lot of usage out there. I know there's a small chat group that gets together. They've got a text thread they get together about every, I believe it's on Wednesdays. And so that's definitely something we would look to include as a possible expansion of that, just knowing that it's growing in popularity over in our sort of multi-use area as we transform the golf course.
Yeah, just to kind of pile on to what Kevin was saying, one of the great benefits to transitioning to this multi-purpose facility is the base will have the ability to rapidly meet the needs of current airmen, families, retirees, future airmen, families, and retirees. And as recreational interests and preferences change, we'll be able to keep right up with those changes and ensure that we're providing the best possible opportunities for our community.
Sir, we had a couple questions regarding 9 holes. Why not at least keep 9 holes open?
Okay. Now, and that is that's a great question. First, let me say that in making this decision, we explored every possible alternative to completely shutting down the golf course. That includes even going so far as a public-private partnership. Unfortunately, part of our problems from that stemmed from our need to secure the base and where the current fence line and federal property lines exist. One of the main issues with keeping 9 holes open as opposed to the full 18 is we really don't see much in the way of financial savings. The infrastructure and the overhead that you need for 9 holes is pretty much the exact same that you would need for the full 18 holes of golf. The employees, the facilities, the golf carts, and really just the grounds upkeep and maintenance. So at the end of the day, that also was not a financially sustainable alternative. But no, outstanding question, and we did discuss it and heavily consider that option. We are, however, planning on leaving the driving range open at this time. And that'll continue to meet the needs of those who want to come on base and hit a few golf balls.
Sir, through our org box, we had a couple questions regarding refunds for those who had memberships. Would you be willing to explain to anyone that's maybe curious about how to get their refund?
Yeah, sure. Kevin or Mike.
Yeah, great question. Thanks for asking that. I know that's been on a lot of folks' minds. We are ready and prepared to provide refunds to any of those members that are currently owed any financial compensation, and you can reach out to us at the second FSS, and we can give you more information. But our point of contact for that's Mr. Randy Rogers, our resource management flight chief, and his team, and we'll definitely take care of you.
Okay. Thank you for that, sir. Another question from the org box. We had a couple related to management of the old facility and how that's going to relate to the new facility. In particular, how to ensure that this new facility is managed in a way that's going to keep it sustainable.
Yeah, sure. So I'll kind of start out on that, and then Kevin and Mike, please, feel free to chime in on this. One of the issues we face with the golf course is it has been steadily losing money over at least the past 7 years. I fully understand that MWR, Military Welfare and Recreation, does not exist to make money. However, we do have a responsibility to at least be self-sustaining. Unfortunately, over the last 7 years, the golf course has not been a self-sustaining entity. And what it forces us to do is pull money from other programs in order to maintain the golf course. Some of these other programs that we have to pull the money from are actually some of the most well-used ones that we find our airmen, families, and retirees needing the services. So as we transition through this, looking back 7 years, and just to point out, I know COVID was a fairly significant event in our nation and in our local community. But that 7-year time span includes before COVID, during COVID, and after COVID. So we have a good smattering of data points that suggests in none of those situations was the golf course able to be self-sustaining. Getting back to the original question, one of the things we would run into is in order to hire the appropriate amount of staff and management to oversee a facility such as our golf course, we need to have the funding and the usage to be able to make those hires and pay a fair market value to get the kind of expertise we need. kind of a chicken or the egg scenario. When you don't have the money, you can't hire the managers. And when you can't hire the managers, it's very hard to get that proper management and oversight in there. For what it's worth, I think our team has done an outstanding job for the last 7 years exploring every possible alternative to keeping the golf course open. And they've been working really hard. But at the end of the day, unfortunately, the golf course continues to lose money over an extended 7-year period. Definitely, it actually probably goes more back to about 10 years. Kevin, do you have any?
Yeah, Boston, I appreciate those comments and appreciate the sentiment. Absolutely, the success of our MWR programs is so dependent on our FSS team and the airmen and I mean big A airmen, right? Our civilians, military contractors, doing everything they can to bring successful activities. And what while certainly with the boss and I think everyone else, this is a tough decision. It's hard to see it go. I think what is exciting, and there's a little bit of light here, is that we have a great team who manages a lot of our MWR portfolio. We're doing really, really well in things like outdoor recreation. And as we start to pivot the golf course into these other activities, it allows us to rely on some of our managers who have been successful in our other MWR areas and really use their expertise to bring the things that are going to really serve a wide array of our community, our active duty members, our dependents, our families, our government civilians that work on base, as well as all of our retiree population out there.
Yeah, and Kevin, I think that might be a kind of a good point where, do you want to talk a little bit about our plans for the future and where we intend to take, we're throwing around words like multi-purpose and, diverse range of interests, but Kevin's going to kind of talk a little bit about what that actually entails and what you can expect to see this year and then in the coming years.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. And so really, this is going to be a phased approach. This isn't something that we're going to be able to overnight transform this into everything that we want it to be. But we're going to do, little by little, year by year, we're going to continue to add on to this facility out there. I think part of what we're really excited about is seeing an opportunity for families to get out there together, to get, parents, kids, our dependents. You maybe have unit events out there. And so there's going to be a lot of opportunity to take advantage of that space and really make it a place that the community of Barksdale can gather together. And so, Boss, you mentioned earlier on some of the things that are sort of near term that we're going to do is look to have, transform sort of hiking and biking trails out on the East Reservation of Base. That's something that we find a lot of interest in. People like the outdoor things. It's something that you can do with your family, low cost entry. You can get out there, enjoy some of the beautiful scenery out there. As well as, taking advantage of the grill that we have out there and looking to expand that opportunity to have unit events, family events, and then bringing in some of our rental opportunities. We have some really neat things that you can rent from our outdoor rec team, such as bounce houses and things. And
yeah, and I think it's important to point out that outdoor rec will fill in a lot of the current clubhouse space.
Yes, sir.
So
yeah, absolutely. So in that clubhouse space, what we envision is we want to have almost a one-stop shop for our MWR activities, right? We want to have our airmen be able to go out there and get service from a couple different areas. And so rather than having to kind of bounce around the base to get a hold of our FSS MWR activities, we want to really make a focal point out there where you can go do a couple things at one time.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as if you want to host an event, a family gathering, group of friends, a squadron event, airmen, retiree, family. It will become a great facility where you can come. The equipment from outdoor rental will all be right there. You can rent it. You can move it right across the street, or they will help you move it across the street to pavilions. There will be the grills out there, and it's just kind of a one-stop shop. You finish a nice hike or bike or a run out there in the morning. You want to get a cup of coffee or a breakfast, we'll have the snack bar right there. And, if you don't have a bike, we'll have them there to rent as well. So you can enjoy the great outdoors. It's really a beautiful area of the base, and we intend to keep it as such. Kind of along with that, I know there has been some concern, something that particularly resonated with me. And one of the questions was, when you picture Barksdale, Everyone pictures the scene right outside my window, driving in the Barksdale gate. You have the golf course on both sides, the wing headquarters building right in front of you. And, I want to assure everyone who's tuned in tonight, we intend to keep this base looking like a professional 4-star Air Force base. We've modified grounds contracts. We will upkeep the land. So the scene that you picture Barksdale should never change. In many ways, this will enable us to do some beautification along the main strip that have been prohibited by the unique aspects of having a golf course there. But the grass will be kept, the trees will be trimmed, and it'll still look like the Barksdale that we're all proud to be associated with.
Sir, one question, is the maintenance for the grounds going to fall under the current employees, or is it going to go to a base contract?
Boss, what I'll say on that is because we got to be cautious when we talk any contractual action. So I won't comment specifically on that. But what I will say is we do have a plan and a strategy to do that, and we'll make sure that it continues to be taken care of.
We had a couple questions regarding sustainability of the new facility. So what makes the sustainability of these new amenities different from the golf course sustainability?
Yeah, and that's an excellent question. The sustainability of the new, how can we be guaranteed that it won't be in the same situation a couple years from now? What I will say, as our team has dug in, one of the things we've discovered is golf courses tend to have a high startup cost, but then they also have a high yearly maintenance cost. You have to consistently replant grass. You have to mitigate water drainage, greens, upkeep, specialized equipment. So it's not necessarily the startup cost of the golf course, because that was paid many, many years ago. It's the sustainment and keeping it into a playable surface that encourages golfers to come on base, when quite frankly there are many options around our great local community to golf at as well. When we talk sustainability with this enhanced MWR facility that we envision, what we're actually talking about is there will be some startup cost, and our team has budgeted the initial startup costs, and then we have plans for funding to get the project to a point where we have the facility that Kevin and Mike have talked about. However, the yearly maintenance costs will be fairly low once some initial construction is done. So we envision this will be a much more sustainable cost, economic cost model to work in. Do you guys have any?
I'm sorry, you get around it.
Okay.
Sir, prior to making the decision to close the golf course, what other venues were considered? For instance, the old enlisted club.
I'm not quite. Yeah.
I think maybe I see where the question is going here. So the new activities that we want to bring out there were not what was driving the decision to close the golf course, right? It was really the financial viability of the golf course that we were concerned about, which then drove us to imagine, well, what else might we do if the finances were to drive us down this road? I think if we understood the question correctly, if not, please feel free to clarify in the chat for us and we can readdress.
Yeah, and when you look at the financials, there just reaches a point where the hits we would take to almost if not every other MWR offering on this space to keep the golf course open this year, and then we would be faced with the exact same decision a year from now. There's in addition to the number of rounds of golf that we need played per year, there is a fairly significant bill that comes with keeping the golf course maintained and playable, as well as recapitalizing much of the equipment on the golf course, which is all near end of service life. And I'm speaking a little guarded. You have to be somewhat careful with financials, but suffice to say, I have an outstanding team here, and they have scoured every potential option to keep the golf course open while still preserving other MWR offerings for our airmen, family, and retirees.
So there's a few questions regarding the cost of off-base golfing, and there's a few retirees that are concerned about the price, and if there's anything the base has looked into regarding that.
Yeah, for certain there is. I'm going to give you kind of a more to follow answer on this one, but we have had a lot of initial excitement, and we are closely following the progress. We've gone to both the Bossier Chamber, the Shreveport Chamber, as well as our outstanding Military Affairs Council. And kind of what we've said is there are potentially a fair amount of rounds per year that will be on the table once we sunset the golf course. If a local facility would be willing to offer a commensurate discount, I'm not going to say it'll be exactly what it costs playing on base, but you will probably have a much nicer course to play on, to include snack bar and pro shop, that they could probably see a big increase in business. So there's been a lot of excitement about that, and we stay very closely latched. I was discussing it just last week with our Military Affairs Council president. So don't have anything definitive to offer you, but we will continue to explore those options, because I know how important golf is to our airmen, our families, and our retirees, and the community at large. And like I say about transitioning to a diverse range of airmen recreational activities, we also feel a responsibility to provide as best as we can for the community that does enjoy golf. It may just look a little different, and it may be at a different place, but I currently have pretty high hopes that we'll have something for you here probably in the next month or so. Don't hold me to that, but like I said, there's a lot of excitement, and it would be a win-win for both the base and the local community if we're able to make that work.
Sir, you touched on it earlier, but is there a rough timeline of when things will initiate and what time frame to look at amenities being available?
Yeah, I'm going to let Kevin or Mike, as kind of the experts, speak on this one.
Yeah, so what we're looking at, really, our goal for the first phase is going to be this April, and that will be some of the things that we already have on hand, such as trying to get our disc golf nets out there, as well as getting some of those trails sort of marked out, squared away on where the trails and the hiking and the biking is going to happen. Get some of our outdoor rec activities moved over to that location, as well as some other MWR activities out there to start sort of centralizing our center of gravity for the FSS MWR activities. So April is really our first target this year, and then again, it'll be a phased approach over the coming years as we're able to sort of slowly take advantage of some of the funding opportunities that we have.
At this point, we've answered the questions in here are duplicate questions. Is there anything that either of you, all three of you, would like to add, or things we haven't covered yet that might come to mind?
Yeah, well, I would love to just reassure the folks out there, excuse me, the FSS, the Mission Support Group and Second Bomb Wing, we're excited to provide these new opportunities to the warfighters of Barksdale and their families and retirees, and as I mentioned, the civilian community. It's exciting for us to be able to look at this now and look at the future and what that holds for us and for you as customers. And we are certainly looking forward to serving you. And thank you again for all your patronage and support of our activities and our folks that run those.
Yeah, I would just say, thank you all for trusting in us. It's been mentioned a couple of times. This was not an easy decision. I just for what it's worth, right? I'm a military brat. I grew up golfing with my dad at the Air Force Academy, right? I mean, this is something that is certainly near and dear to my heart, right? These were not easy decisions. We had a lot of tough conversations about this, but we ultimately came to this decision really just honestly believing this is the best thing that we can do for our airmen or for our community. for our our families, our retirees. This is really the best thing that we can do. And so we know it's a tough transition. A lot of us obviously we're going to be very sad to see this transition happen. But again, just optimistic and excited that the things that we're going to have an opportunity to bring, I think will continue to create what's magical about golf is that it creates community, it creates memories, and it brings people together. And I think we have opportunities to do that with the new activities that we're going to be having out at the Bomber Bayou.
Yeah, man, I couldn't have said it better myself. First of all, big thanks to everyone who dialed in tonight, whether active duty, family, retiree. You are all a critical part of this mission of Team Barksdale, and your passion and emotion towards this installation is really the secret sauce, and it's the magic that makes this base, this installation, this wing what it is, and the incredible things that we do worldwide, day to day. We have just so many incredible people on this base. I am so thankful to be a part of it. Kevin said it spot on. There are no easy decisions when it comes to something like this. And really what this came down to was, do we prioritize one activity at the expense of every, almost shuttering every other potential MWR activity that our airmen and family enjoys? Or do we try to be creative and come up with something that does continue to provide the magic and bring us together as a community, foster pride in the base, pride in the service. And that's really where we're hoping and planning this initiative to go. So thank you for your interest. Thank you for joining us tonight. Hope everybody stayed safe during the weather. Roads were a little bit icy the past couple days, but it's really been great to spend some time virtually with you tonight, answer these questions. We appreciate all of them. And, I would just ask, as we go through this transition and, we stand up the reimagined MWR facility out there at the golf course, come visit us, please. We would love to, we'd love to have you. We'd love to show you what new opportunities there are. And, maybe you'll find a new activity that you didn't even know you liked. Or maybe you'll just grab a golf club and go hit some balls on the driving range, which will definitely still be there. So thank you, everyone, and hope everyone has a good night, a safe weekend, and thank you.